In this video, we have a special guest star, the king of NFTs, Mr. Brutally Honest himself, Alex Becker. He's gonna take us on a deep dive on how he makes massive gains flipping NFTs. And if that sounds good to you, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss time-sensitive content just like this.
You're known as someone who made a killing, flipping NFTs, and I'm just kind of curious your backstory, man. How did you get into it, and how did you start learning so well so quickly?
Cool. Yeah. So I actually kind of consider myself still kind of like an NFT noob. There's people on Twitter, for example, like, Elio Trades, or even if you go look at like Crypto888, or we got G Money, the list is endless of people. You got Pranksy, for example, and people that have made not just a killing, but insurmountable amounts from it. So I like to point that out, that, I'm still kind of a beginner in the space. I wasn't buying punks 2 years ago. Honestly, I ended up getting in crypto because I needed to transfer some money off a gambling side, and the only way you could do it was from Bitcoin. I started noticing that Bitcoin was going up, and then it crashed in March, and I bought in really well right then. And then after that, I'm sure I saw what everybody else was, that this has real potential, and I gradually got further and further down the rabbit hole. And about beginning of February, late January, I started stumbling on NFTs. I saw CryptoPunks for the first time, and I saw a few other things. I was like, what the hell is this? And at that time, I thought I was late to the party. CryptoPunks for like $15,000 a pop. I bought a bunch of those. I got into Hashmask. I lost tons of money in it.
So you saw an NFT, and then you thought to yourself, that looks like a good idea. You didn't have the same kind of resistance that a lot of people do, the JPEG, and it's stupid and you can copy it, paste it, right? Like that. You understood it quickly. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely not. I didn't think it was like that. Not because I'm some wise forward thinker. It's just always been a belief of mine that we're going to go live in VR in the future. If you watch Black Mirror, you watch Ready Player One, I don't think that's just like a fairy tale. I think most people will live their lives in the digital realm. We already interact. For example, you and I, Kyle, have interacted a lot, and the way you know about me is by my digital persona on the internet. You've actually never interacted with me in human. Same thing with Elio, same thing with almost everybody I know in crypto. So our digital interactions with each other actually define our relationship. So therefore, NFTs, for one thing, do so much more than flexing or to be used as art. This is just the first use of them. They do about a zillion other things, which is human verification. But just in this instant right here with the CryptoPunk, people go very aggressively flex to show off their human value in life, through their house, through their car, through their art, through the clothes they wear, to the watch they wear. Routinely, people spend millions of dollars on watches. So it makes absolute total sense that people would spend millions of dollars on their digital Rolex, their digital flex. And so when I saw like a CryptoPunk, for example, this is the first thing that's ever made. Obviously, the people that have them are going to have something that other people want, and the people that have the rarer ones are going to have the form of the first Rolex ever made, the first pocket watch ever made, in the form of art. And so I saw that. I also saw the point that when people move to VR, start living more in a digital realm, like how we're using avatar pictures now as our Twitter pictures, that's going to be how we judge each other online. A person has an alien punk as their Twitter picture right now is the equivalent of God in crypto, for lack of better words. A person has a rare ape is a cool kid. I don't really subscribe to this thought, but I recognize it, that people that have a really good ape, they're exclusive part of a 10,000 club. They're being accepted into certain bars now. They're allowed to talk to certain people at the higher echelons in NFTs. Their insider clubs. And so the thing that I saw and thought would happen happened, but it happened way even harder than I even imagined. I ever thought a CryptoPunk floor would be $500,000. I thought like $100,000.
I've obviously known about use cases of NFTs for a long time, and started advising Ultra, and they talked about it a lot, back in 2018 early on. And even before then, I saw the value as far as like in-game assets or ownership, anti-counterfeiting, stuff like that. But the community is insane what you're talking about. So I went and bought one of these, one of these Lambos, Satoshi and the Vitalik Lambos. And so like two people from my Telegram said, "Hey, welcome to the club, man." And I have no idea how they even found out. Like, I didn't tell anybody. I bought it this.
Like they might have been watching your wallet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man, crazy.
If you're well known in crypto, people watch wallets like hawks. For example, people are constantly stuffing my wallet full of absolute garbage NFTs because they think it will promote their project or something like that. It's a real problem, actually. It's a very big problem with blockchain, the fact that you can stuff in other people's wallets without them knowing. That's basically my gist of it. Recognizing that again, I still feel like I'm kind of late to the party, but even being late, I've done very, very well the last few months. Just even making so many mistakes in NFTs, I've done incredibly well, and it's mind blowing how much money is being made from it.
Let's get into that a little bit. So my producer Mike gave me some statistics. I don't know. Do people know how much money that you made in summer?
So I'll just give you a few examples like this last week. So for example, I got into the Mutant launch. I put in $200,000 and then I exited all of them for about between $550,000 to $700,000 in total sales. So I was able to pocket that over a weekend. Or for example, Dogepound, I bought about $20,000 of them at $169 mint, about 120 of them. And the price of them is $6,000 right now. And I exited about 1/4 to 1/3 and was able to pocket about $200,000 to $300,000 from that. There's many other examples where I've completely missed a ball, like Twin Flames. I bought at $500. It now sells for, I don't know, $400,000, $500,000. Or I grabbed the Punk at $83,000 and then sold it for $542,000. And now it goes for $1 million. So there's all sorts of times where I butterfingered things and sold early. And so, you know, I've made a couple $1 million doing it. And I've made a couple $1 million the past few months or the past month or two doing it, which is the really shocking part because it was going up and up and up and it just went like that. And then anything you really owned really skyrocket to the levels you never thought possible.
You don't think you sold your Mutants early? First of all, I wish I would have been a little bit more in the loop 1 week ago because I heard that they were on sale for an hour and you could have bought the shit out of that for an hour, you know, and if I would have known, I would have done it. But if there's such a cult-like mentality around Bored Apes, you know, why wouldn't the same thing happen in Mutants?
There's 3 reasons for it. So the first one is my logic is I don't really subscribe to the NFT super cycle. These prices are going to stay, you know, kind of thing. NFTs are very illiquid. So that means if the floor goes out on them, you can sell an NFT one at a time. And when people are exiting, if there's 10,000 of them, you can only exit about 2 or 3 at a time. And that means if there's buyers, if people are constantly cutting each other, you're not going to be able to sell. For example, look at the Oni Force NFTs. They were at 9 ETH, 7 to 9 ETH a week or two ago. Now you can't sell one for above 3 ETH. You know, all the people that bought at 9 ETH, they couldn't exit. You can't exit these things. So you have to be aware of that. And you have to sell when the time is right and when people are buying. That also being said, I was able to make a good solid 3x on it, and it's significantly easier for me to make a liquid. So I have to ask myself, are the M1 apes going to 2 to 3x from here? Probably. How likely is that, especially with the NFT bubble that we're 100% in right now? How likely is that? Odds are pretty good, but it's going to be very hard to exit them very quickly at that point. I could easily go into altcoins that I believe are going to 2 to 3x or put them in investments and make a liquid 2 to 3x much safer. That's it. It's not that I don't think they're going up. What's the easier thing right there? What's the lower risk? If I'm investing in an NFT, I want to see the returns like I saw in Dogepound, where I'm going to see a 30, 40x for the risk you're taking with illiquid assets. That's the first reason I did it. You bought the Mutants at 2.5 ETH. They're now selling for 7 to 8 ETH at the lowest floor. At that point right there, you know, I'm going to take that 3x. I'm going to put that into something that's more liquid because I'm not going to see a 50x from that point. I'm not going to see a 40x. So I'm not going to play the liquid game. That also being said, I've sold my apes into the M2 Serums, which is going to be the gateway to having triple sets in Bored Apes. So I just basically exchanged them for the Serums because that's going to be the hardest things to get in all of apes. And then finally, I'm exchanging the apes that I have into other apes that I'm investing into because I believe having a set and I believe having different things in apes is going to be far more valuable than holding an M1 ape at this time. So I'm kind of moving it around. I did take some profits out of that. And so I took about half of my gains and I'm reinvesting it back into the ape space, which I have massive faith in and I think will be absolutely gigantic, maybe even bigger than CryptoPunks in the next 3-5 years.
So are you mostly doing mints?
Yeah, exactly. Because what you want to do on NFTs, if you're a collector and you're doing the art and you're not really worried about making an ROI, which I think is kind of weird, but a lot of people buying these 300, 500 ETH things, they're not trying to do quick flips. They're trying to do something else, which is completely fine. I'm not insulting that mindset at all. My logic right now is that we're seeing something that is, one, I have a lot of faith in the future, but the prices are ridiculous. There's no reason why something that you were minting for 0.01 ETH should be going for 9 ETH a week from now, you know? And my opinion is I'm going to make that money. While people are acting like this, I'm going to make that money. And I think there's going to be things that are super valuable. Land sales, like we talked about Netvark. This is here to stay, but we're behaving a little bit crazy right now. And my logic is get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. And we're seeing retail start to FOMO in the NFTs now, like the shit coins that we saw earlier this year. And so my logic is find good projects, but get in and get out of them, you know, or at least get in super early so you don't have the massive risk. If you get in at mint, so for example, those pounds you could mint for $160. Now they're $6,000 to the floor of them. The highest ones go for $30,000, $50,000. If I'm buying at 160, my risk is really minimal. If I'm buying, for example, an ape right now at $150,000, my risk is quite high if I'm trying to do this from an investor and money-making mindset. And my reward is quite low for taking such a risk on an illiquid asset. So if I buy a mint, my risk to reward is massively high, and it gives me the low risk I need to also justify buying an illiquid asset. And then it gives me the reward to also justify buying that illiquid asset. Like the NetBark land sales I told you about, you know, we were able to buy a couple of those at really good prices, like the beginning price right there. The odds of it going below that price, or us not being able to exit at least 50% that price or take some of our money off the table if something terrible happens, very, very low. The odds of that maybe going up 30, 50x, quite high for the investment. And so you find stuff like that, and there's new mints and great projects that have good base floors that even in a dip will probably be at a 10, 20x from their mint. And so that's what you really want to look for. That's the safer way to play it. You don't want to be buying a $600,000 NFT unless you're pissing money and using the NFT for the flex, you know? So that's the goal.
So I went on I went to look for the tools, the resources that are out there for, you know, keeping track of what's being minted when, and just some like minting calendars and things like that. And there's a shit ton of things that are being minted all the time, right? So
every single day.
How do you choose, you know, which ones to go into?
So you got to look, there's two types of projects I'm going to look at. Of course, there's a zillion different types of NFT projects out there. In NFTs, there's a million different ones every single day. There's lazy cows, tired sharks, you know, people copying Bored Apes all day, for example, or people copying CryptoPunks. So what I'm going to look for in projects is, the first thing you want to look for is people say this in crypto all the time, but a really good team. So a team that has a good roadmap that is doing something unique. For example, the reason I got in the Doge pound, art was really good. I knew the artist and the founder behind it, Top Shot Babe. She'd been working on it for months, and she'd also built a really good community, had a really clear roadmap. And the reason why I stayed with this is because the community was really, really, really good. Okay. And so what happens when you have a good community in NFTs is the people stop selling, and you develop holders, and then people don't hold because they don't want to leave the community, and then it stacks on itself. That's what you saw with Bored Apes. Just people stop selling their apes. They won't sell them for less than $100,000. So what you're going to see, that's the main thing I'm going to look for. And at this point, I want to look for projects that are doing unique things. The way I'm going to stay in the loop is, first off, Twitter and Discords. I'm particularly watching, if you want to make money, the top wallets of the influencers in the spaces. You have to look what they're actually buying. I don't actually do that because I kind of can already see the trends. But if you're new to it, if you're watching what like 888 or Prankster people are buying in their wallets, you're going to get a good hint. And they do that on purpose so that they will pump the projects. You can just pumps. I'm not blaming them for pumping and dumping. I'm just saying you can literally notice when they buy something, it will start to go up. If you know that trick, you're going to do well. That also being said, I want to look for projects that's doing something unique. Okay. And so what I think is really unique right now is actually photography projects, ones that have mints of 100 to 200. For example, I bought Black and White Nights 3 weeks ago. It was at $60. Now they go for $15,000. You know, that was a really unique photography project. And so I don't want to go and jump into every single avatar project because it's just shitcoin mania, which again, you can make money there, but it's just impossible. And you have this huge stream. So what I'm actually way more focused in NFTs right now is going to be gaming NFTs. For example, land sales and items that are, and so it's way easier to find games that are really good, or games that have a good team and development, because there's more to them than just that. So for example, Rumble Kongs was a really good NFT that I got into pretty early at like 0.3 ETH. Now the floor is 1 ETH. That's a nice 3x from there. But the reason why it's so in demand is because these NFTs will be used as players in the game, actual skin. So they double for certain ways. And so the team's good, the project's good, it's cool. Netvark, for example, is land. And we saw Sandbox blew up. And so the reason why I invested in that is because the project looks really good. It's going to give people the ability to have stores in a virtual space. It's going to be this virtual city that you can basically live in. And so buying that up is going to have value. And so I'm looking at the projects and the type of NFTs that are going away from this 10,000 avatar thing. Another thing that is massive in NFTs, especially on the art side that you want to look for, is exclusivity. If you can find a project that is having exclusivity that's being bought into, for example, Apes is the reason why people want it now is it's extremely exclusive club. If you can find projects that are building that and are gamifying their crypto, for example, with the Apes drop with the mutant, with the serums, there's only 2,500 serums. I don't think people realize that means there's only going to be 2,500 sets tops. And they did it on purpose. They released the M1 serum as well. And so that messes with the serum dislocation. So you're going to have all these really rich people that have $1 million ape and then they can't get an M2 serum. So there's all sorts of weird little shit like that going on in Bored Apes. And you want to look for stuff where it's incentivizing holding and benefiting them. So for example, I guarantee Bored Apes is going to drop something where people that have the 3 sets or a set of 3 are going to be super rewarded. They're going to get an in particular drop no one else can. Shit like that type of logic. If you look at the underlying games that these NFTs are building, a lot of them are just releasing a bunch of pictures. But if you find the little underlying games or the project's just extremely different, like for example, I think 𝗟𝗲𝘁'𝘀, if you check that out, is going to do very, very well. It's a very just different project. Oni Force or Own One Force, it was a pretty different looking project. It got super pumped by influencers, but it was different. It wasn't 10,000 animals. If you take that mind jumble, I just shit all over the place, I think there's a little bit of logic you can take.
Do you think with these randomly generated kind of algo types of projects like the punks, and do they have to be memes, like meme coins to be cool? Because like, you know, I came across the founders of this one called Cicadas, which was inspired after this internet phenomena, Cicada 3301, which is just like, you know, this hunt for this incredibly talented, and they put out these puzzles that you would have to be, you know, really complex encryption and stenography. So these guys made this NFT project inspired by that event, built in puzzles into the whole NFT thing. And he walked you through what one would have to do to solve this puzzle to win the ETH, because a portion of the minting fees went back to the ETH puzzle. It's insane. And like the thing that inspired by this real life event where whoever set up this puzzle back in the day actually ended up going and posting pictures of cicadas on power poles in like 26 locations around the world. And you had to go collect all those QR codes in order to get them. It was insane. But it's only 25% sold out right now, and it doesn't look like it's going. You know, it's not a meme. And I wonder if it has to be a meme to be popular.
It depends. So definitely things that have cultural significance that people are very aware of and are popular on the internet. The value of those blew up right away when NFTs blew up. I think that ship is not the best to play off. You're not going to find like a new meme right now. How NFTs are right now, especially the projects that it's really what the influencers pick up. I hate to say this, but most NFT projects are going to tank hard. And you're going to see projects like Bored Apes or Fidenzas or the blue chips. They're going to hold their value because all the holders in it are billionaires and 9-figure and at least very, very, very wealthy people. You're not going to find a person who has a net worth less than $5 million holding $150,000 ape. You're just simply not. These people are not going to sell and dump their things. They're not going to panic sell because it's like their Rolex. They're not going to sell their Rolex if Bitcoin dives. And so the values of those, I think, will go down a little bit, but they're going to remain stable and keep going up. So these other projects that are going up, they're just being fueled by FOMO. I hate to say there's no justification for them to exist. That doesn't mean you can't make money in them, but the reason why people are picking up a project and not right now is because they think they can make money in it. We have enough animal profile pictures. Not being a dick to any new projects. I know you've worked pretty hard. How many animal profile pictures do we need, guys? And how many of these are going to how many? We have like literally, there's 10,000 each. We have millions of animal pictures to choose from. The supply is just greater than demand. And so what's happening is, I think before it was cultural significance, it was fueling them, but now it's really, you know, every week you're going to see the NFT influencers saying, well, this thing is the new thing. This is a unique, rare project, when none of it is. And so you just have to kind of be able to predict almost what the influencers are going to say and where the influencers are going to be looking. That's a very pessimistic way of looking at it, but that's the truth.
Has this spread out beyond the crypto community yet? Has this gone mainstream?
Yeah, I think at the moment right now, it's about to go really mainstream. If I was out last weekend and everyone and their dog is starting to talk about, you remember when Dogecoin was pumping really hard for the first time and everyone was getting really excited about it? And you're just like, these people at the bar are talking about Doge. You've been in crypto for forever, I imagine. And so like when you see people talking about Dogecoin, like it's the first crypto they ever looked at, you're kind of like, the F is going on here. That's exactly what's happening right now. People are all at the bars showing that they bought a picture of an animal for $100 and now it's $2,000. And everybody's writing down lists of all the things and watching these lists now. And I think if we're not already seeing it, we're going to witness shitcoin mania in the form of NFTs. My best advice to it is, unless you know how to play like the advanced stuff, like I mentioned with those Ape Serums, I would not suggest anybody getting in NFTs do that. What I would suggest is look where the crowd is going next, or buy projects where your risk is low. That $60 photography project, that $240 I invested for $60K back in gains, unrealized at this point, but gains I could probably sell right now. If I lose that $240, cool. What's happening right now is A project gets minted, everybody buys the mint, and then all the influencers start talking about it, and then all the doofuses come in and buy the secondary for 2 ETH, 5 ETH, 9 ETH, like on one, and then all the influencers dump all their shit, you know. And they're not saying they're doing it on purpose. Maybe they are. Some of them are, but the crowd comes up, it gets hypey, and then they dump it, just like a shit coin. But it's an illiquid shit coin, so it's a very dangerous one, because if you can't sell, it's zero.
I imagine that you've gotten in some mints that didn't take off. What do you do? Do you just write that off and move on with your life, or do you just try to take whatever you can? And when do you make a decision that it's not going to take off, I'm going to move on, put this capital somewhere else?
See, this is the scary thing about it. There's very few mints I've gotten in on that have not at least delivered a 2 to 3x ROI. The problem is selling and exiting them. If you buy, like, say you get a mint at 0.06 ETH and you buy 200 of them, you're like, well, you have to sell all 200 of those, and you can't sell them all at once. You can sell an NFT, especially when it's demand, maybe 1 or 2 NFTs an hour in a collection, because people are going to undercut you and whatnot. If you put all of them on there, it's not going to work. So it's exiting them that's the problem. That's one thing people need to consider. So for example, Dogepound, it took me a very long time to exit that because I didn't want to tank the floor and I wanted to protect the community. There's only been a few that I've minted that didn't do well. There was this one game NFT that I minted, and the reason it didn't do well is they set the mint price way too high. If the mint price is like 0.1 ETH or something like that, it's not going to work out. Because what's going to happen is, what destroys a project is then people go to OpenSea and start selling it for less than the floor they're minting at. Project's done at that point. So for example, Logan Paul's mint, you could mint it for 1 ETH. Floor was way too damn high.
Holy shit.
People were on OpenSea. This is one I lost a ton of money on. People were on OpenSea selling them for half an ETH before the mint was even done. The mint was 10% done and people were doing that. Instant loss. So you have to find mints that are really, really low. If they're too high, that's going to happen. And the way you can avoid that is, like, if the supply is way too high. There's a lot of them have 10,000 supply. If it's 10,000 supply, you should be buying really low. Like it should be about $160, $100 per mint. If it's anything higher than that, people will be on OpenSea flipping them. Or if there's no demand, if you don't see it warming up really quickly.
How did that happen? How did that happen? Logan Paul's thing. Like, if you're minting for 1 ETH, but they're already, does that mean that there were some pre-mints going on that someone else is?
You get the NFT delivered to you right away. And so you would mint Logan Paul's, and I'm not, if Logan by chance ever watches this, I'm not calling Logan out. And yet it's people's own damn fault for buying it. So he mints it at $3,000, $2,000. He has 5,000 of them. The supply is ridiculous. It was something like 1,000 or 5,000 supply. He's raising $5 million off a single NFT that doesn't have any difference in it. People get it for 1 ETH. They start seeing it not selling out because people aren't going to buy a 2 ETH, 1 ETH thing. And so when they see it not selling out, they run to OpenSea to try and reclaim their investment and sell it for 0.99 ETH or 0.98 ETH. And then the whole little trend starts, and then people start undercutting each other. And then all the people that bought it 1 ETH couldn't sell, and then the floor plummets because people all race for the door, and only one person can get through the door at a time. It's not like when you're selling, if Bitcoin crashes, everybody can sell their Bitcoin all at once. Only one person can sell a Bitcoin at a time. So it's a social experiment. It's kind of like watching groupthink, kind of how it works.
How relevant do you think the mint price is, other than you made it obvious that it can't be too high? But what about, do you think that people would value something that they can mint for free today? I know that CryptoPunks, obviously you can mint for free initially, right? The YGG founders coin, they minted, you can mint it for free. But now that we have mania going on, do you think that there's this notion that maybe people don't value things to get for free? You know, what are your thoughts about that?
So the thing that matters behind NFTs is narrative and story. I haven't seen free, so I can't tell you too many case studies that I've seen on that. My logic would be, because I'm a marketer and I run a software company, my main actual skill set is marketing and advertising products online. So from my point of view, I don't think you want a free mint because you're going to attract a lot of freebie seekers, and you don't want those people holding. You want people to have at least a little bit of money, like $150 or something like that. So that's my logic, at least, because then those people will hold till $300, $500. You know, you let people in for free who can just connect their wallet. They're going to sell at $2 and $3 and $5. You're going to have all sorts of stuff, people coming in like that. You're just going to have this weird ass floor. So I would say about $100, $150 is where you want to swing at. But the most important thing is the narrative. In order for an NFT to work, there has to be this narrative of people saying, I put in $100 and I made $3,000. There has to be that story. That's why people get in the shit. And so you're really designing this game for people to play. And you have to rig it to get the right people in the game, and then the right stories coming out of those people. And then also, I mean, of course, the art and whatnot matters. But at this point, like, for example, Bored Apes were like $200 a pop. So what got people so excited about that? Well, the art, the community, behind it, the structure and how they ran it, and in this overall brand. So of course that stuff does matter, but the market's very, very different right now, and everybody's just throwing whatever they want in the avatar project. So again, I want to look for Bored Apes was different. That black and white Knights I looked at was different. Twin Flames that I invested in that now goes for $370,000 a pop. It was $500 for. It was different. Jeez. And so I want to go in the places where I see they're really different are NFT games. And if I'm going to play the whole NFT flip game, I'm going to look for mints around $60 to $150. That's about as much as I'll mint. Because then if that doesn't go, I can usually exit for, you know, the same price. Or I'll just take that loss. You know, I put in $3,000. Okay, I didn't make $100,000 back this time, and that's going to happen. We're going to start seeing mints start collapsing as eventually here soon. But
did you do the 𝗟𝗲𝘁'𝘀 mint tonight?
It was no, I did not.
No. Yeah, I thought it was at 11 o'clock my time. Apparently it was at 10. I heard it sold out in a minute.
There's a few mints I'm looking at right now, and so I try to really. The thing is too, with NFTs, if you're in a lot of different mints, you have a lot of different things to exit. And exiting NFTs is very difficult if you buy a lot of them. So I like to focus on only a few projects at a time, because if you have a bunch of products all going on with the mints all popping, you're going to be sitting there signing OpenSea contracts till the end of time to try and exit those. So you got to factor that in too.
One thing that I've been trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible with this whole thing, I keep hearing the word roadmap. With Bored Apes, did the roadmap talk about mutant apes and potions and things like that? Or was that recently dropped as a surprise to everybody? And then the second part of the question is just what does a good roadmap look like?
So I'm sure since you've seen the ICO craze, you've seen the IDO craze, you've seen every craze there is. I'm sure you see that words like roadmap and good team and has excellent fundamentals and good tokenomics. Shit like this is thrown around so casually, it means literally nothing at this time. So everybody's just say, team, great roadmap, great community, blah, blah, blah. So all of it's bullshit. I mean, this is crypto. Let's just be honest. It's most full of bullshit. Everybody's doing it's an MLM. Most of these projects are Ponzi schemes. People buy low, they get everybody on below of them to buy, and then they flip them. And so that's why they're telling everybody there's a great team and a great roadmap. So what I like to do is I like to join the communities, and I like to actually go and look at the developers and talk to developers. Not everybody can do that, but I always talk to the teams. You know, for example, I talked to RumbleKong extensively and had them send me gameplay, what they were planning, what their roadmap was. Before I really went into Dogepound, for example, before I kept it and then I didn't dump it, I looked at the roadmap, what they're doing, and I looked at how they were planning to make the original tier 1 dogs more valuable through puppies, breeding, and a token system that will actually generate items that they will be able to use to get rarer dogs and whatnot. So there's a type of game, there's a plan, and I'm watching this very highly communicative team do it. And so when I'm investing in anything, or just in my company, when I'm hiring people, I look for extreme communication, and I look for that in investment too, and in willingness to listen to the community. And more than pictures. Again, you can't always pick this up because, I mean, I'm sure you know that roadmaps, and I'm sure you've seen tons of projects where roadmap is just a pretty PDF that they never do.
I think what I didn't really grasp when hearing roadmap is the art aspect, right? But if there's a game included and how that evolves, that's some perspective and context into the roadmap idea, which is very interesting. You know, these are things that when someone looks at a JPEG, wonders, what kind of roadmap could you possibly have in this one-time minting process, you know? Do you think that there's this number of 10,000 that some people can keep using? Do you think that it's feasible to have something that's maybe double that, 21,000, 20,000, or 5,000 is better than 10,000? I mean, I know obviously the more rare, the better, the fewer, the better from a dollar value per item. What do you think the logic is behind how many mints?
The pattern that I've seen is 10,000 being the sweet spot. I think that's way too much, and I think we're going to see these projects implode because 10,000 is way too much supply. All people see is the floor and then the top, but they don't realize that 90% of the project isn't sold. So for example, like on one, the floor was 9 ETH at one point, and then the top was like 600 ETH. People aren't factoring in that literally there's 5,000, 6,000 of these things with people that want to sell in between those two places right there. So this place right here can shrink like an accordion very quickly. And I think 10,000 logically is way too much. And we're going to see that happen in the future. Right now, I really think that if you're doing a new project and you really want it to take off, you need to have limited supply. Either that or you're going to need big influencer backing if you're doing the 10K or something like that. We just have to look at what we're looking at. If you look at Fidenza's, I don't think that's 10K. I think there's 300 500 ETH offers for 1,000 ETH right now. And so there's all different ranges of floors. There isn't really a pattern right now that's emerging other than just the 10,000. And I don't think the 10,000 is a sweet spot. I just think people are not very creative and they're just copying each other.
I guess that wraps up part one. We actually had to just kind of stop it because we had to go mint some NFTs right away. What a wild world this is when all of a sudden you could just get a message and you gotta stop, gotta go mint. So now that you've seen part one and you know that Alex is coming back, let me know in the comments below what you wanna know. What should I ask him? And if you're coming over from Alex's channel or you're new to this one, make sure that you check out the link in the description below. It is a Glean campaign for the world's largest crypto giveaway. It is going to be massive. Right now we're over $1 million and that is just climbing as the market climbs and as more projects donate to this giveaway. It is huge. You don't wanna miss that. Guys, I will catch you soon. Bye-bye.